Hey there, my name is Becca and welcome to my channel. If this is your first time with us, welcome. I am so glad that you stopped by. If you've read a First Chapter Friday with us before, then welcome back. Today we are going to be reading the first chapter of Kelly Yang's Top Story. Kelly Yang has become such a popular author for middle grade students. You are probably familiar with many of her books, such as Front Desk, Finally Seen, Finally Heard. There's really a whole plethora of them, and they are all so great. So I'm super excited to share the first chapter of Top Story with you today. We're going to start by reading the front inside cover to get an idea of what this novel is going to be about. Mia Tang is at the top of her game. She's spending winter break with Mom, Lupe, Jason, and Hank in San Francisco's Chinatown. Rich with history and hilarious aunties and uncles, it's the place to find a great story. One she hopes to publish while attending journalism camp at the Tribune. But this trip has as many bumps as the hills of San Francisco. One, Mia's camp is full of older kids who all seem to have famous relatives, fancy laptops, and major connections. Can she compete with just her pen and passion? 2, Lupe is thinking about skipping ahead to college. Will Mia ever get a chance to just chill with her best friend? 3, Jason's crushing hard on a new girl. For the first time ever, Mia is speechless and jealous. Can she find the courage to tell Jason, gulp, that she has a crush on him? Even for the best writers, it's not always easy to find the right words. But if anyone can tell a top story, it's Mia Tang. All right, and we are going to dive right on into chapter 1. The crisp winter Bay Area wind hugged us as we got out of the car. Our old Chevy had heaved like an elephant all through California's Central Valley, but somehow we made it, all the way from Anaheim to Chinatown, San Francisco. I'd never been to Northern California before. I thanked my lucky stars for this dream opportunity wrapped in a Christmas vacation. I was here for journalism camp at one of the most prestigious papers in the country, the San Francisco Tribune. "Come on, Lupe," I cried to my best friend as I climbed out of the Chevy and turned in a circle, trying to see all of Chinatown at once. "I want to check out how far it is from here to the newsroom." "Trying. This backpack won't budge," Lupe called from the trunk, where she was clenching her teeth and pulling on the thin straps of her bag. Lupe had come with us so she could compete in the Math Cup State Championship in Berkeley, a few cities farther up the coast. Our teachers had let us take an extra week off school to pursue our passions. I chuckled. "Every math book in the Anaheim Public Library is crying ow," I teased, helping her heave the bag onto the sidewalk. She'd brought along so many books. Her backpack was the size of a sofa. I pulled my own suitcase out and we gazed up at the Golden Inn. Solid brick with tall windows, it sat in the corner of Jackson Street. It looked like the Cala Vista back home, except more vertical. Like if you took all of our motel rooms and stacked them on top of one another. Like a Toblerone chocolate bar shooting straight up into the fog with a thin, zigzagging fire escape running down its side. It faced a building with a pagoda tower roof, and up and down the block, street lamps with steel dragons twirled below red lanterns. "Whoa," I breathed. "What is this place?" "It's like a whole other country," Lupe agreed. "Isn't it amazing?" Mom asked, walking back from the parking meter she'd just fed with a handful of coins. "It's the oldest Chinatown in the United States, proud home to Chinese immigrants since the gold rush." My eyes feasted on the Chinese characters on the street signs and on the dancing red lanterns swinging side by side with Christmas lights. I smiled and waved at all the aunties and uncles walking past, buying groceries in tiny shops and carrying wrapped gifts. I inhaled deeply, welcoming the scents of winter melon, oolong tea, and the hopes and dreams of thousands of immigrants. I couldn't wait to write about this place. I grinned, thinking of the stories I'd uncover and hopefully get the Tribune to publish. That was my mission for journalism camp, to convince a national paper that Asian American stories were worth covering all the time, not just during special occasions like the Women's World Cup. My other mission was for me and Lupe to finally have some fun. We both worked so hard to get where we were, but we rarely had time to kick back and relax. On the last day of school before break, I was excitedly talking about camp, and my classmate Stuart rolled his eyes. "Geez, Mia, don't you ever just chill?" he'd asked. "No, Stu," I'd snapped. "I don't just chill." I'd been a little angry and offended by the comment, but a part of me was also curious. What was it like to chill? Could we finally try it in these city streets? It sure felt chilly in San Francisco. "Can you believe these 24 square blocks were all the early Chinese immigrants had?" Mom asked us. "They had to do everything here. Their banking, buying their groceries, finding a job, raising their kids." She put her arm around me and Lupe, all in this tiny slice of San Francisco. "At one point, all we had was a tiny maid cart and the front office," I reminded her. "And some cable tools in an old pickup truck," Lupe added with a smile. I bumped my fist with hers. Now look at us. With that truck, Lupe's dad had built a successful business. He and Lupe's mom were on a cruise right now, their first vacation in forever, off the Gulf of Mexico. They'd booked it ages ago before Lupe found out she was going to be in the Math Cup Championship. Lupe didn't want them to waste their tickets, and since my mom was going to be with the Math Cup team the whole time, the Garcias decided to go, just the two of them. My dad was back home minding our motel and painting our new house, which we bought with our hard-earned savings. Mom was pursuing her dream of teaching math in a high school, and I was going to show a national newsroom what immigrant dreams were made out of. "Not bad for a bike, huh?" I almost said to Mom. It was a million years ago when she first remarked that my English language skills made me a bike, while all the white kids were cars. That comment had hurt my feelings a lot, but I'd kept writing and I kept fighting for my dream. And now I was walking living proof that you don't have to be born with a language to write at a national level. Mom turned to us. "I'm so proud of you two. You've both broken barriers to get where you are. When you get to your competition in your camp tomorrow, I want you to think of all the immigrants who walked before you and were told their dreams were too big, their values too small, and you show them. You hear?" I felt myself stand even taller, my heart swelling with pride. "Yes, ma'am," Lupe and I shouted. "There might be people who don't believe you can do it," Mom added gently. She rested a soft hand on Lupe's shoulder and added, "And memories that distract you." I bit my lip, gazing at my friend. Something had happened to Lupe right before we left. Something so horrible, she never wanted to talk about it again. Right before we left San Francisco, Lupe had finally mustered the courage to tell her friend and Math Cup teammate Allie that she liked her. Liked her. Lupe knew that Allie might not feel the same way, but she had to be honest about her feelings. But Allie's response was worse than anything we could have expected. She said that Lupe couldn't possibly know she was gay because a 13-year-old was too young to know that kind of thing. Lupe was mortified. As if that wasn't bad enough, Allie then announced that she and Ethan were dating. Ethan is on the Math Cup team too, so Lupe won't be able to avoid seeing them together. It will take every ounce of willpower for Lupe to stay focused throughout the competition. At least she gets to stay with us in Chinatown while the rest of the team and their parents stay in Berkeley. Mom said she chose the Golden Inn because it's much cheaper, but I know she also wanted to give Lupe some space. Now Lupe was staring straight ahead, a determined look on her face. "Nothing's going to distract me," she said quietly. "I'll show her." That's the spirit. Mom turned to me. "And you, Mia, there may be some difficult bigwigs in that newsroom." I put a hand to my hip and gave her my best Simba I laugh in the face of danger. Ha! Mom smiled but insisted. I'm serious. Big organization like that, there's bound to be one or two thorns. And what are we going to say to those folks? We're going to say, bring it. I gazed up at the tower of the green and red roof across the street. It's going to take a pagoda tower to knock us off our game. Yes, it will, Mom chuckled. Now come on, let's go check out our rooms. Lupe and I grinned at each other. We were finally going to see what it was like to stay in a motel as guests. And that is the end of chapter 1. All right, that was the first chapter of Top Story by Kelly Yang. If you enjoyed this first chapter read aloud, please consider liking and subscribing so you can be notified every time we have another read aloud available for you. Until next time, everyone, happy reading.